Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and thank you for tuning in to Times Now. The show's called Breaking Ground and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Even as we speak, dramatic images of protest, of utter chaos, hangama right now from different parts in Kolkata. Remember, it's been 18 long days since the brutal rape and murder, a little over 400 hours since we have been completely horrified by that tragedy that again continues to remind us of what can happen if a state wants to cover up a crime. The man or the woman in the center of that story is Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of the state of West Bengal. Now, she, remember, has been very for the protests. Most of the times we've seen her out on the streets protesting on a number of occasions. Even very recently, remember, she was protesting, and that protest was because she wanted the CBI to arrest the accused in the case and ensure that that person is hanged. But I want to begin by looking at these different images that you will see on your screens, and this will tell you why we have always seen Mamata Banerjee like a street fighter. I want to quickly take you first up to the year 1993. This is the most iconic picture, set in black and white, Mamata Banerjee, who was injured. She, remember, suffered multiple injuries. This was a protest outside the Reuters building, and this is when she was a part of the Youth Congress. And then she had protested against the left. Why? Because, you know, they were looking in for voter ID cards and there was the allegation that the election then was rigged. So she wanted a fair and free election. Mamata Banerjee on the streets, she did not mind taking a lathi or two. She did all that, and this is her very iconic image, something that ensured that Mamata Banerjee catapulted to this seat of power, that is Nabanna. Now, if you just move on to the other years, this is 2006, the very famous Shingur protest again. For the farmers, we had seen Mamata Banerjee again on the streets. She did not mind the protests. She was all for the people. She said, I will raise your voice. And again, we know how Shingur changed her political trajectory. Look at what happened then in 2007, Nandigram, the very famous, Nandigram protest. Again, this is where you had farmers who were hit by bullets. Mamata Banerjee was protesting against the government. You had seen her again on the streets, just running like a street fighter. Why? Because she wanted to protect the interest of the poor, the downtrodden, the farmers. Then in 2019, this was a midnight dharna at the CBI headquarters. This was not for the Aam Janta, but this again was to ensure that her top cop continues to remain safe. This is when that top cop, remember, was being grilled by the CBI. It was a political dharna, but even then, Mamata Banerjee believed in dharna. She believed in protest, even until 2019. Then if you move to this image of 2021, you remember her on the wheelchair? She got injured. This is again in the middle of the elections. Mamata Banerjee said, nothing doing. I've injured myself. I have a plaster, but I will take a wheelchair and I will protest. She campaigned like this. She was out on the streets. And today, Mamata Banerjee is very angry. Do you know why? In spite of the fact that she has always loved protest, protest is something that is identified with Mamata Banerjee. When you have such protest against Mamata Banerjee, she gets very angry. She does not like such protest. So what happens? These protesters have clashed with the cops. All this has happened today. Remember, earlier today, in the last few hours, we've seen the barricades that were all put up to ensure that they remain curtailed behind the barricades. They were also broken. You've seen Mamata's police, the policemen that you saw in white, were also, wanting to ensure that these protesters do not move ahead and cross these barricades. Our next image again is of a protest that we have seen earlier today, where tear gas was also lobbed by Mamata's police again at the protesters. So why is Mamata doing this? Why was tear gas lobbed? Because Mamata believes in protest. She believes that protest is the best way to make yourself heard. Then these images also of the water cannons that will be up on our screens. And in the middle of all this, we saw this one gentleman in this robe holding the Tiranga, the national flag. He stood right in the middle of this water cannon. He was unfazed by this. We had people, look at this young girl. We don't know her name, but I'm sure we all can identify with her emotion, holding the Tiranga. And she is calling out for justice against Mamata's police. So water cannons being used at all of them. We'll bring up the next image also of these protests. They were then lathi charged. Here are the cops running after the protesters. They are also getting lathi charged. So everything, right from the barricades that are broken to also the tear gas, the water cannons, lathi charge, everything in the book being adopted by the Kolkata Police and Mamata Banerjee to ensure that there are no protests, that people go back. This protest dies down. Now, I want to show you one more image. This is a political protest. This is led by the BJP. You see all netas of the BJP are right from Loket Chatterjee to Shukanta Majumdar, who's a union minister also now, all sitting on a dharna. They want the release of those people who've been picked up by the police and detained. Why? Because they were protesting, and Mamata Banerjee, again, like I said, now does not like protest. What has changed? Between 1993, when we saw her at the iconic Reuters building, protesting, to now in 2024. Let's bring up all our questions. Questions that today Mamata Banerjee will have to answer sooner rather than later. The first question, from a street fighter to undermining citizens' power, is Mamata Banerjee, ladies and gentlemen, already making a huge mistake? Why is she doing this? Why were protesters roughed up? Why was tear gas used? Why were water cannons used against them? Why was force used against these protesters? Let's bring up the second question. Mamata, does she have absolutely no empathy for the victims of the state-sponsored or even random violence? Remember, these are people who are out in the streets because they are very, very worried. Citizens are feeling vulnerable. They want some semblance of security. And when they're out in the streets protesting, why are they treated like enemies? The third question up on your screens, is Mamata already bringing Bengal to its knees to the point of anarchy? Is that what is happening in Bengal? This brings us now to our fourth question that is up on your screens. Why is the Mamata government unnerved by the threat of an expose, and why has it been trying to deflect the case right from day one? Now remember, it's not me saying this, it's not even you saying this. It is the Supreme Court of the country that told us that the crime scene was altered. So why has this been happening? This brings us to the final question. Is this the hour of reckoning for Mamata Banerjee and the entire Ma Mati Manush plank that she has used to ensure that she remains in power for the longest time in a state that was once ruled by the left? She uprooted 30 years of the left rule. This, Mamata Banerjee, the lady with that sari, the lady with the white chappal, the lady who's always been a street fighter, but a lady today who hates protest. But let me bring to you a reaction that has come in from the Trinamool a little earlier. Now, for those of you not very familiar with who this lady is, she's Saini Ghosh, the TMC member of parliament. She's a member of parliament from the Trinamool. She says that look at them, they look like goons. ये गुंडों की तरह लगते हैं. She is calling the protesters goons. Hardly any women are seen, is what this TMC MP says. And this is when you have multiple women who are hit on the head, on their legs, on their arms. They had to be rushed for medical help. Perhaps the TMC does not want to talk about this. Look at what they said. Picnic-like protest. ये पिकनिक चल रही है. गुंडों की तरह नजर आते हैं. We don't see any women here. There is a picnic going on. So all this, according to the Trinamool Congress, and a leader like Mamata Banerjee believes that this is a picnic going on. Clearly, the joke, ladies and gentlemen, is on all of us. And it's not just her. She's also saying protesters are taking a cool shower. Cool shower is a reference to the water cannons, remember, that were used against these protesters. So she's essentially trying to tell us that they are just out there because they want to have a good time. They look like goons, they might as well be goons. Don't ask us questions because these are not genuine protesters. I also want to bring you another reaction that has come in from another MP, Mahua Moitra. Now look at what she says, and I will read this slowly. She says, no bodies have not fallen. No bodies, if you look at this, the pun here, no bodies have not fallen. No one has fallen, she says. Sorry, BJP and the Godi media. She says, to disappoint your ghoulish desires. She goes on to say, this is not a common citizen's march. Again, what we heard from Saini Ghosh also, not a common citizen's march. Then she's saying students, women, really? Barely. A bunch of goons throwing bricks at the police and goading them to react. So this is the Trinamool Congress for you. Clearly you can wonder, when the state speaks like this, when those in a position of power speak like this for protesters, and I want to bring up again those images of the protest for you to figure out that, can you see gundas here? Do you think that these are all people out there to have a good time, some picnic? They want some cool showers. They don't want answers. They don't want accountability, is what Mamata Banerjee is saying. She believes all of them here are only linked to the BJP and the RSS. Let's quickly open up this conversation and we'll get in our panel of guests joining us. We have Priyanka Tibrewal, who's representing the BJP here on the show. We also have Rami Desai, who's a noted author. We also have Shabnam, who I think will be leaning towards a Trinamool. Nikul Patel is the leader of the Congress. Shabnam, let's begin by asking you.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. I'm sure you must have seen these pictures of the protests that are still continuing. You think all these are gundas? These are hired gundas by political parties out there to defame Mamata Banerjee, and so you can say they're out there having a picnic and a good time?
Absolutely right. Definitely. What our MP has stated, I agree with that, because you see the man who is with Bharat Mata Janda, that flag, he is not a student, and they presume that
Bharat Mata की जय अगर कोई बोलेगा, Bharat Mata का झंडा उठाएगा, Shabnam, are you inferring that that person cannot be a student? That person cannot be a citizen of Bengal. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, citizen of Bengal, but they are saying that student will showcase the protest. They are not the students. You see their appearance, they are not the students of first year or second year. They are the citizens.
No, Shabnam, now listen, Shabnam, these are your citizens. These are citizens in Bengal. These can be students, these can be commoners, these can be women, these can be children, these can be anyone. All of these people have ensured that Mamata Banerjee is the chief minister, no, Shabnam? Today you're calling them gundas.
It is a camouflage of BJP. They didn't get the political mandate. They wanted to come through the back door, and they want to dismantle Mamata Banerjee like Bangladesh Hasina.
No, wait. Now, Shabnam, wait. Shabnam, wait. You know what? Someone has sent me this tweet of Mamata Banerjee. Shabnam, take a moment. Mamata Banerjee, on the 13th of February 24, she had written about, the farmers. She had used the hashtag standby by our farmers. She says, how can our country progress when the farmers are attacked with tear gas shells for fighting for their basic rights? And she said, I strongly condemn the brutal assault on our farmers by the BJP. Then she says it's the central government's failure to support the farmers, the laborers, to respond to their concerns that they have been forced to come out on the streets. So are you doing what the BJP you alleged had done with farmers, to students, to your citizens in Bengal, Shabnam?
No, not at all farmers gathered, not at all students gathered. No, these are the hooligans and gundas. They attack police.
Shabnam, see, I do not know whether you have a television screen near you or not, but right now we are putting a picture. We are putting a picture of this girl, who I do not, think is more than perhaps 18, 19 or a 20-year-old. We'll go back to that picture. The girl in that black t-shirt. She's also holding a tiranga like this. She's also a gunda. She's been brought in by the BJP. Are you saying people are so dumb? They need to be pushed forward by political parties to speak for their rights?
They are instigated, provocated to protest like hooligans. See, this was a peaceful protest when the police was also escorting, but they suddenly turned like hooligans and vandalizing and
what did they vandalize? What did they vandalize?
Haven't you seen that they are just throwing down the barricades?
That is vandalization.
Standing over it. Yes,
that That is vandalization.
There would be a peaceful
Mamata
protest.
Banerjee.
Why they will break through?
Shabnam,
They will break
Shabnam,
through
I do
these
not know for how
barricades.
long
If
you
there is
have
a
been with the
peaceful
Trinamool, but
protest,
Mamata's
peaceful
Banerjee
protest,
history
peaceful
of
protest.
politics and the
But
way she
she
has
never did
progressed has
mobilization.
always been
She
about
never did
protest, if you are not aware,
mobilization.
Shabnam.
Nobody will come to Mamata Banerjee's protest. He is a peaceful leader. She is having sympathy, empathy. She only booked police only within 24 hours. That accused has been.
No, I don't. Okay, you can give us certificates. You can give us certificates. You can give her awards. You know, Shabnam, I am not really interested in that. Nicole, do you want to help the Trinamool? Do you want to help the Trinamool? Do you want to tell them that this is not and this should not be tolerated in a democracy? If there is a protest happening, you have students, you have commoners, you have anyone and everyone on the streets. Is this how they will be treated, Nicole?
No, definitely not. I think TMC is going the BJP's way because BJP also don't want anyone to protest in the country in the democratic way. I think it is really surprise and amazing by the Chief Minister who is really come forward by opposing and protesting in a democratic way in her own state. I think this is not the way to treat the people. They are on the road because there is something happening. We in this country, if we want to protest, then everyone must be able to protest. Otherwise, you are telling that they are anti-national, they are not democratic. This is very funny and this is very strange from the administration as well as the member of parliament as well as the people in the
So why has Rahul Gandhi not tweeted about this? Rahul Gandhi must call out Mamata Banerjee and her bluff right away.
Definitely.
Definitely, but where has he done that? Will he do that?
I will just mail him. I will let him tell that this must be done. He has already replied to the that thing that this must not happen. Everyone must get nyay, and especially when it is happening with the women, that cannot be tolerated. Even with Adil Chaudhary ji be also telling in the West Bengal.
Yes, so you keep playing these games कि बंगाल में दूसरे गेम खेलते हैं और national stage पे we play another game. I also want to get in Priyanka, and remember Priyanka, ladies and gentlemen, not just represents the BJP, she's also an advocate. And Priyanka, I've just learned that you have written to the National Commission of Women. You want them to take suo motu cognizance of the male policemen in Bengal manhandling and physically assaulting women protesters. Priyanka, tell me a little bit more about this.
So we have seen videos of the same on social media where we see that 10 to 12 policemen, they are mishandling and manhandling women. And let me tell you that that women looks like a college-going student, because I've heard from TMC that from looks they are making out who are students, who are not students. See, we are today very deeply concerned about whatever is happening in West Bengal. We are shaken, distressed, and it's very appalling. Look at the situation, what is happening. Initially, when people were sitting outside the hospital, they were attacked by goons. That time, the police didn't do anything. Now, in this peaceful protest, police is not allowing them. Police is so well prepared. But they weren't prepared the other day when there were goons with weapons who attacked the protesters who were sitting there. But look how prepared they are today. See, today, the protesters, they don't have any weapons in their hand. They were on a peaceful protest. Initially, they claimed that it is the BJP or the CPM and the Congress who are there. But did you see any of the leaders? I'm sitting here at home. Did you see any other political leader from my party going and protesting with them? No, because this was a common people's protest. It was their anguish, their anger, which they are venting out. But this Nabanna seems to be, like bigger than Ravana's Lanka. Nobody can enter because there's a Ravan sitting there and would not allow anybody to enter. Now, what is this? People want an answer to their questions. You are a government for the people, of the people, by the people. If you are unable to answer to them, then what the hell does the government mean? What is the meaning of democracy, where people cannot peacefully protest? And we are seeing that how
absolutely,
police and the male police
Priyanka,
mishandling women.
I agree with every word that you have said, and clearly the Trinamool has no response. And I should also tell our viewers that the BJP has also called for a bandh, for a 12-hour bandh. And then also, Shabnam, you might have a problem. You have a problem today if citizens speak up. You have a problem if the opposition in Bengal speaks up. So everyone should be gagged. Rami, is this what Bengal has come down to now?
Deepti, good evening. I'm absolutely surprised at what the TMC spokesperson / supporter has just said, because it's incredible that you can look at this piecemeal. It wouldn't have come to this if there wasn't tacit support of the government, wherein they were protecting not just the perpetrators but also the principal who is morally and legally responsible for the welfare of his students. This would have never happened, but it's happened over and over again. And this is not the only event that's happened wherein crime against women in West Bengal has come back into focus. There was Sandesh Ali before that. There was post-poll violence before that. And we tend to forget this. So today, if we see anger on the streets, whether it's students, whether it's old people, whether it's political parties, I don't care. It is reflective of something that has not been addressed, an institutionalized problem that has not been addressed. And I think if we deny this and don't accept this without making it a political issue, we are doing a great disservice to the women of this country. And I think that's what Madam is doing. However, the other political analysts said that this, they are doing exactly what the government does. So may I remind you that when the attack on Red Fort happened, there were more policemen who were injured than protesters, and I don't see that happening here. You're using tear gas. You're using, you're roughing protesters up.
Yes, water cannons, lathis, Rami, almost everything.
I'll just tell you why, because the group, Paschim Banga Chhatra Shibiro, the wing, which has responsibility for putting this together, one of their three demands is that Mamata Banerjee should resign. And therefore, this is the kind of response that we are seeing from Mamata. So, I don't want to sit here as an educated woman and defend this. Just because Mamata Banerjee sends a few English-speaking, westernized, supposedly women who can get credibility in parliament and speak really loudly, doesn't mean that that's reflective of what is really permeating down. Even the perpetrator who was... who now this group is asking for a death penalty for him.
Yes.
Even the perpetrator, there are such insidious rumors around him. He was a part of the volunteer police.
Yes.
You are trying to tell me that this is not an issue that should be protested against?
Yes, but clearly, Rami, people do not agree with what Mamata is saying. Shabnam, just take 5 seconds to tell me, should Mamata not resign? Any one good reason why Mamata can continue as a chief minister any longer?
Why Shinde, the CM of Maharashtra?
She needs to resign because people are disgusted with her. She needs to resign because the state has covered up the entire crime. She needs to resign because both the Supreme Court and the Calcutta High Court have literally indicted her.
CM has done Raj Dharma by
Raj Dharma. You're saying Mamata Banerjee has done Raj Dharma by ensuring that even the protesters are stifled. They are lathi charged, they are tear gassed, water cannons are used against her. That for you is Ma Mati Manush. All right, Shabnam. I can't help you see sense when you've decided to defend the indefensible. I'm thanking all ladies and Nikul for joining us, but we'll continue to track that story. Quickly a break.